we're getting sucker punches from all angles. I'm assuming that there was 3, maybe 4. I don't know. All I remember was feeling repeated fist after fist.
Trump supporter Juan Hernandez describing what happened inside that angry mob as he and others were attacked outside of Donald Trump's San Jose rally earlier this month. Now let's take a closer look. After the melee, Hernandez posted these pictures on Twitter with a message that reads in part, "Thanks for a broken nose, uncontrollable bleeding, and a bash to the head, Democrats. You sure are doing your party proud." To talk more about this, we are pleased to welcome in the national president of Log Cabin Republicans, Greg Angelo. He Skypes in from Washington, D.C. Greg, we thank you for your time on Newsmax Prime.
Thanks very much for having me, JD, and good evening to you.
Greg, so Juan was there. I understand he is a member of Log Cabin Republicans. Did you have a chance to talk to Juan and others who were in attendance at the rally, and what did they tell you directly?
I did, and I actually had the pleasure, well, I don't want to say it's a pleasure to be at the rally because, I wish the circumstances were different, but I called Juan shortly after he had shared those photos online. First, he just shared those photos in the Log Cabin Republicans of California Facebook group, and I, first of all, called Juan up because, one of our members was brutally attacked, and so I wanted to just call and check in on him, see how he was doing, wanted to make sure he was okay. And Juan, of course, he had a broken nose, but for all intents and purposes, was recovering. But I actually wanted to check with him also to see if he was comfortable with Log Cabin Republicans' national office sharing those images, just to know and to share that regardless of whichever presidential candidate you support, I mean, freedom of speech is under attack in this country right now. And so to share that message that our First Amendment rights are under attack, Juan was actually very supportive and wanted us to push those photos out there. I flew out to California days later to be with Juan at this rally, again, because I wanted to show moral support for him and also to share with him that Log Cabin Republicans, members across the country, were really hurting. I mean, Juan was in pain, but our members were hurting. Number one, because one of our own was attacked. Number two, because he was attacked by people who were burning the American flag.
And I want to talk more about that with you, Greg. Let's drill down. Greg, let's drill down on that for a second. Forgive the interruption, but I just can't help but notice. Burning the American flag, waving the Mexican flag, and denying law-abiding citizens their chance at legitimate First Amendment pursuits of expressing a political preference. And what is incredibly ironic about this, Greg, is that we hear from Hollywood, and we hear from Broadway, and we hear from all the elites just how tolerant the left is supposed to be. I guess this puts the lie to the tolerance of the Democrat Party and their fellow travelers based on what was experienced in San Jose.
Yeah, not only that, but let's remember where this took place. This was in California, JD, right? Don't Democrats in California hold themselves out as exemplars for what it means to be tolerant, for what it means to promote liberalism? And here we are in California, the state actually, by the way, that Log Cabin Republicans was founded in, to have one of our members, an out gay Latino, who just happened to be expressing his support for the presidential candidate that he preferred, being brutally attacked just for attending a rally. I mean, I want to make this clear. He was not, inciting. He was not antagonizing anyone at that rally. He was just trying to leave following this Trump rally. And not only was he attacked, but he was targeted for attack because he was wearing happened to be wearing a "Make America Great Again" hat. But that was the only indication that he was a Trump supporter. But nonetheless, these angry mobs out in San Jose, literally.
And as you were speaking, Greg, we also took a look at another infamous incident, the situation with a young lady who stepped out from beyond the doors with a Trump jersey on as she was pelted with eggs and insults. It's very troubling anywhere, but especially in San Jose. And what is very curious is the way the mayor first came out blaming Trump supporters and then later trying to, pardon the pun, cop a plea for the police and how they handle it. Let's listen to both Mayor Sam Liccardo and the Chief of Police, Eddie Garcia, and I want to get your reaction.
The notion that there was some stand-down order is ridiculous. I don't have the authority to give a stand-down order. I would never give such an order anyway, and I know that our police chief would never accept one.
The discipline that they showed, I think, led to the safety of thousands of others as well. Again, even though the assaults that occurred were appalling.
Okay, so let me get it straight from the police chief. The assaults that occurred were appalling, but it could have been worse. That's what he's saying. And then Sam Liccardo, one of these liberal Democrats, so tolerant, blames Donald Trump for the violence. What does that tell you?
I mean, I want to be clear on this from the get-go. I mean, Log Cabin Republicans is not blaming the police themselves, but whether it came from the mayor, whether it came from the chief of police or someone else, the police were instructed not to be as assertive as perhaps they could have when it came to preventing the protesters from the destructive behavior and the violence that they were engaging in. I mean, Juan, our member, was being attacked, and police did not intervene. It seems to me that's like policing 101.
Well, exactly right.
Safe,
exactly right.
Keep people safe, and people were not kept safe. And the idea that the police can say, "Oh, it could have been worse," of course, it could have been worse, and thank God it wasn't, right? But to pat people on the back because hundreds of people didn't get targeted for violence and only several dozen did is going a bit far. But here's like the more chilling thing, JD, is like what the leadership in San Jose has effectively said.
Well, it's obvious, like the old song, "They don't know the proper way in San Jose." Sorry to mangle that song done by Dionne Warwick, and I don't mean to make light of it, but you know, you talked about the cops, and I appreciate it, Greg. You want to be careful about it, but you take a look through the arrest reports from those attacks. Some of the undercover cops who witnessed the attacks actually issued some statements. One officer says this in part, quote, "I observed victims running for their lives because protesters began adopting the mob mentality and attacking people. I was unable to make contact with any of these victims due to my undercover capacity and fear for my own safety as well." So there's an unnamed undercover officer, and the implication is clear that the only thing he doesn't ask here was, where were the cops? And then here's the topper, and I don't know what you heard from Juan and some of your other members who were there, but according to numerous eyewitnesses, when victims asked uniformed officers for help, those victims were told that the cops were under strict instructions, quote, not to help any Trump supporters. Now, when you hear that, what should happen to Mayor Liccardo? There's a move afoot to have Mayor Liccardo recalled, asking him to resign as mayor of San Jose. Should he?
First and foremost, I think he needs to be held to account, whether this is some sort of an investigation, whether it's a report, but you know, there are many unanswered questions here. And once we receive those answers, if the public believes that the mayor did not satisfactorily protect the people of San Jose, the people who are attending this Trump rally, and the people who are merely trying to depart peacefully, then he should be held to account. And if that's, you know, being recalled, I'll leave that to the people of San Jose to determine. But first and foremost, there's a lot of unanswered questions here, and Log Cabin Republicans is demanding those answers. And JD, one thing I just add here is that, you know, what the mayor has done essentially through this, the mayor of San Jose, is shown people not only in San Jose but around the country that if the mob is loud enough, if the mob is violent enough, and the mob is angry enough, mob mentality will trump freedom of speech. And if you can't protect those constitutional rights as a mayor of one of the largest cities in the country, you might not have any business holding that office.
Well, I'll just go on record right now. Mayor Liccardo is an embarrassment to the people of San Jose. He is a shameful, I can't even call him a public servant, and his resignation should come forthwith. But I'm not going to hold my breath on that. I'll tell you that right now, Greg. One other note, though. Bernie Carrick, who knows his way around a disturbance or two, having been the New York City police commissioner, he was on this program. I asked him directly about violence like we witnessed in San Jose. Here's what Bernie had to say.
I don't care if it was a Trump rally, it was a Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders rally. It doesn't make any difference. If their supporters are being violently attacked, the mayor and his police department has an obligation by law to defend those supporters.
Well, Greg, I'm going to give you the last word, 15 seconds.
Well, and I would just echo what Bernie Carrick said. I mean, police, at their most basic of activities, should be protecting the people. There was a failure that took place in San Jose on June 2nd.
And we will have to leave it right there. Greg Angelo, National President of Log Cabin Republicans, Skyping in tonight from Washington. We thank you very much for your time this evening on Newsmax Prime. There's more ahead, so keep it right here.